Very good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratne. Let's start off with your headlines.
Newsfirst headline.
In local news, Japan expecting for early signing of MOU between Sri Lanka and the Official Creditors Committee. Indian High Commissioner says project to connect India and Sri Lanka is bound to bring about a huge change. In news overseas, Britain's Conservatives trounced in local elections. And in sports, Fair Game makes 5 demands for FA Cup reform. On to those stories in detail now. Japan says it expects for the early signing of a memorandum of understanding between Sri Lanka and the Official Creditors Committee. This was expressed during a joint media briefing attended by visiting Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa alongside a Sri Lankan counterpart Ali Sabri in Colombo.
Japan highly values the fact that Sri Lanka, under the leadership of President Wickramasinghe, is earnestly addressing the debt issues and promoting reforms to overcome the economic crisis. Today, I conveyed Japanese expectation for the early signing of the MOU between the Official Creditor Committee and Sri Lanka. This stressed the importance of reaching a debt restructuring agreement with all the creditors in a transparent and comparable manner. I also conveyed Japan's intention to further support Sri Lanka's development by swiftly resuming existing yen loan projects. Once the MOU on debt restructuring is signed, and the Sri Lanka's government's intention to swiftly conclude it, a bilateral agreement is confirmed. I also expressed Japan's intention to continue to supply Sri Lanka's ongoing effort for national reconciliation. Furthermore, Japan and Sri Lanka are both island nations surrounded by the sea. Japan intends to further strengthen cooperation with Sri Lanka in the maritime domain in order to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific. In this regard, based on the request from Sri Lanka, I have conveyed to Minister Sabri that Japan will offer a vessel equipped with a sonar to be used for compiling maritime data and charts. I look forward to discussing with Minister Sabri later at the working dinner on international issues, including disarmament and non-proliferation, and my life work in the area of women, peace, and security. It is a hope of Japan and myself that Sri Lanka will bring itself back on track for economic development as soon as possible and make further progress as a hub in the Indian Ocean. Japan will continue to stand by Sri Lanka through this endeavor.
Sri Lanka's foreign minister noted that they expect the debt restructuring process to be completed in time for the next IMF tranche.
We remain very grateful to Japan for the important supporting role it played in the external debt restructuring process as the co-chair of the Official Creditor Committee, OCC, as well as for its grant assistance. I have highlighted that Sri Lanka has worked diligently to stabilize the economy, enhance debt sustainability, and implement growth-oriented structural reform. As of today, the country has not only recovered from economic collapse, but has experienced a rapid revival, showcasing the resilience and the determination of the Sri Lankan people. We expect conclusion of the debt restructuring process in time for the next tranche of IMF process. And I'm also very glad, I'm sure Minister Kamikawa will announce that we are in the process subject to some MOU to be signed, the Japanese government to commence the project which have been stalled so that kickstart the economy. With clear indication of gradual economic recovery, strengthening the bilateral economic relation is a priority to Sri Lanka in the country's recovery process. I'm sure most of the friends from the Sri Lankan media would want me to know whether I have raised the LRT project. Yes, we also have mentioned that we are keen in restarting the LRT project too. I welcome Japanese Official Development Assistant ODA extended to Sri Lanka over the past decades through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, as one of Sri Lanka's key development partners.
Meanwhile, the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, says that the project connecting Sri Lanka and India will bring about a huge change and mainly the people of the eastern province will benefit from it. He made this statement while attending the inauguration of the newly constructed Lanka IOC petrol station in Sambalthiv in Trincomalee. The event was attended by Eastern Province Governor Sendil Thondaman, Member of Parliament Kapila Nuwanathu and others.
Over the years, our Indian companies have grown and expanded in providing employment, in providing new economic opportunities in this country. And among them, Lanka IOC was one of the first to come here in very early stages, 22 years ago. And its base in Trincomalee has always been a very, very significant presence and contribution to the economy of the Eastern Province. And I've seen it grow over the years through thick and thin, in periods of difficulty, in periods of which are better than the adverse periods earlier. And they have stayed through the thick and thin, they have survived, they have kept their presence here intact and worked with the people of Sri Lanka. So I'm very happy with the progress, with the changes that I see. I must also say that our ambition for India-Sri Lanka relationship has grown, that we are working on very high value, high impact projects. We are thinking of building a land connectivity corridor to connect India and Sri Lanka, which is something that I always say is a game changer and will probably create many, many new opportunities for people who will be connected as a result of that. And I think Eastern Province will be one of the principal areas that would get connected in that regard. We are also looking at an oil pipeline coming to Trincomalee very soon in the future, which will be another contributor. The development of tank farms that Lanka IOC along with Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is undertaking. So all these are very positive, big, large projects that are going to benefit all of Sri Lanka, but also particularly this province. And we are very, very happy.
This is what Chairman of the Ceylon Workers' Congress, Sendil Thondaman, had to say.
So this gives a strong message to the local entrepreneurs that economy is recovering back and business is getting back. I would also like to a special thanks to His Excellency the Indian Ambassador, High Commissioner Santosh Jha. Out of his short, very, very short time presence in Sri Lanka, I think less than 6 months, he has taken charge. Within the 6 months, we are very happy that Eastern Province is one of his priority visits. This gives a strong message to everyone that the government of India and the embassy in Colombo has a priority in looking forward in the development of Eastern Province.
Up next is international news.
International news.
Britain's ruling Conservative Party has suffered a resounding defeat in local elections, a further sign that it is likely to be removed from power in upcoming general elections. With nearly all council results in, the Conservatives have lost 450 seats, while the opposition Labour Party has picked up 170. As counting was underway on Saturday for a few more assembly and mayoral polls, most critically that of the mayors of London, Manchester and Liverpool. With the results in from 102 of 107 council elections, the Conservatives lost about half of those it was defending, costing it control of 10 councils. Up next is sports news.
Sports news.
Football campaign group Fair Game has issued 5 demands to reform the FA Cup following the decision to scrap replays in the competition. The body, which represents 34 men's professional clubs, has called for an amendment to the upcoming football governance bill that would mean replays could not be scrapped without a majority vote from all eligible clubs. Its 5 further demands include Champions League qualification being awarded to FA Cup winners to regain respect for the competition. It also wants the planned football regulator to rule on any financial changes to ensure it protects the whole football pyramid. Fair Game wants replays to be played on Monday nights for clubs playing in Europe, reform of voting structures to 1 member, 1 vote, and for fans to be consulted to changes to football competitions. And that's a wrap of this edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Thank you for watching.